What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another New York Giants video, and in this video, I'm joined alongside a good friend and special guest, an avid Georgia Bulldogs fan, Noah Deibler. Noah, thank you so much for joining. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Tom. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm looking forward to breaking down our prospect of the night. You know, there's a lot of Georgia Bulldogs in this draft that are predicted to go very high. And one of them we're going to talk about tonight is edge rusher Travon Walker. And I want your insight on him, obviously, because Georgia did win the national championship this past year and how electric Walker was in his junior season. But, folks, before we dive into Walker as a prospect, remember to go check us out on our Instagram and Twitter accounts at Big Blue Avenue and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Big Blue Avenue as well, closing in on that big number 400. So, Noah, Trayvon Walker, there's rumors that he could go number one overall in this draft at Jacksonville. His stock has been rising as the potential number one overall pick. Are you buying this rumor?
I'm not buying it, Tom. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great talent. But I think this is another classic case of guy has a fantastic combine, has a mid-first round grade. And then he absolutely killed it. He had like a 4.5 40-yard dash. He had I think a 35.5 vertical, something like that. All these physical traits that they look at in the combine. I personally don't put some stock at the combine. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's important, maybe if you have some doubts about a guy, if he has a good combine, that might push you over the edge to pick him. And if he has a bad combine, might scare you away. But I don't think it's, shall we say, the main barometer you should use to evaluate prospects. Now, as for Trayvon Walker, I think he's a good player. I mean, he was a starting defensive end on the best defense in college football, one of the best defenses in the history of the game. But me personally, I'm not really buying the number one pick. Like, honestly, be perfectly honest with you, Tom. I joke around, my Georgia guys saying stuff like Azeez Ojulari is better than Lawrence Taylor. But I do keep it real for the most part. And I think he's a good player. When my first reaction to people saying he could go to Jags, I was like, are you serious? Where the hell is this coming from? So I don't know if he'll go top 5 or anything like that. I think if he does go top 5 to 10, it's probably a bit of a reach. Me personally, I probably have a grade on him mid-round, kind of in the teens, something like that. Maybe to a team that doesn't desperately need him to produce right away, but has the good coaching there, winning philosophy or whatnot. I think that's the kind of team he would be great on. But as we're going to a team that desperately needs a defensive end up near the end of the draft, I don't know if I'd do that with them.
I agree 100%. I think this is all smoke about Walker going number one overall. I do think he will be on the board if the Giants are interested at 5 or 7. And we'll dive into some of his traits. Again, 21 years old, 6'5", 275 build. You mentioned those 35.5-inch arms. He's a massive human. Ran a 4.51 40-yard dash. Has violent hands. And in 2021, Noah, as you know, 6 sacks.
Yes.
Recovered a fumble, 37 tackles. I mean, this is a junior who played 3 years at Georgia, had 1 sack in each of the college football playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I really like about him, and you could tell me if you agree on this, from the film I've seen, he's a big run stopper, and he has the body type to play 3-4 end. I mean, I think he consistently outreaches blockers and takes control at the point of attack, which is very pivotal when moving to the next level to the NFL. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I agree completely, Tom. I think, like you said, all the physical attributes, massive arms, has good speed. I don't think he's going to go to the NFL and be, a stereotypical, pass rushing defensive end. I think his main strengths, he's great at stuffing the run. He's great at setting the edge, if you will. Maybe not if he's, not sacking someone necessarily, always going to tackle for loss. But, he keeps those tackles honest. He does a great job of setting the perimeter, impacting the play, even if it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But one thing I really like that he does that maybe a lot of people won't notice, he's really good, especially for a defense end, he's really good in dropping the coverage, impacting plays, forcing incompletions, even forcing some, interceptions or fumbles. But if a team is, looking to draft him and you expect him to instantly come in and get 10 or 15 sacks as a rookie, that's not his game, in my opinion. Like you said, only had 6 or 7 sacks last season, which isn't bad by any means. That said, you do have to remember, Tom, he was on absolutely stacked defensive line, so you could also make the argument that makes his job easier. But you could also say, on the other hand, well, with so many great guys on that unit, there's only so many stats that can go around. I mean, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Tom, both first-round projected guys as well on that defensive line. And then you also have to account for the fact Nakobe Dean is going to get, his fair share as well. So I do like him. I think he's a bit of a raw prospect. This is not a guy like an Aiden Hutchinson or a Kayvon Thibodeau that you're drafting right away as a complete guy. This is a guy that needs some coaching, but I think he's a pure talent. So, like I said, if he goes to teams to a team that has that coaching in place already, to where he doesn't have to instantly come in and be the franchise guy in that defense, that's where I think he would do the best.
Yeah, it's very interesting because obviously you got a very close-up look at this guy this season. I think he will excel best in a multiple front scheme where you could move him around the line of scrimmage, and we'll show you folks at home the film in just a few moments. But a lot of people that have scouted this guy and have put reports on him, and a lot of people view this as maybe a weakness in his game. I don't know if you do. I personally, from watching the film, I don't think it's a huge thing that will hinder his NFL game, but he's regarded as a player who consistently comes off the field on passing downs. What do you think of that? And does that concern you at the next level?
It doesn't concern me, Tom. Why? Because UJ's defensive line always rotates. I mean, look at our best player on defense last year, Jordan Davis. He didn't even play 50% of the snaps. That's what what UJ does, and that's why you see so many guys, like Nolan Smith and Adam Anderson before he had that suspension. All these guys, Nazir Stackhouse, they have so many great guys, Tom. It's like, well, why does UGA rotate running backs? Is it because Zamir White sucks? No, it's because guys like James Cook, Kendall Milton or whatnot, they can come in and produce as well. So I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest with you, Tom. I think it's just UGA has so many guys they want to use on their defense. I don't think it's any detriment. Like, if they wanted to play Trayvon Walker basically every snap of the game, they could. That's just not their philosophy.
Absolutely. And I'm imagining Trayvon Walker lining up opposite Azeez Ojulari right now, and that will absolutely make my heart melt. But I mean, I'm looking at this Giants defense: Lorenzo Carter, Tay Crowder, Azeez Ojulari, a lot of former Georgia Bulldogs on the Giants defense. So it'll be very interesting to see if Trayvon Walker is in the mix now with the new regime in New York. But briefly going over his timeline at the University of Georgia, 2019 as a freshman, played in 9 games, just 15 tackles, but he did have 2.5 sacks and 1 pass defended. In 2020, Noah, he only played 7 games, around 200 snaps, 3 quarterback hits, 8 hurries, 1 sack, a pick, and a forced fumble. And then this past year is really where he started to, I guess, blossom and break out. Played all 13 games, 37 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 7 QB hits, and 15 hurries. I mean, this guy, a lot of people regard him as the biggest wild card in this draft because a lot of people are talking about him potentially from number 1 to like all the way down to like number 17 when the Los Angeles Chargers pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing with the guy that absolutely flies up the board after the combine, right? You don't exactly know what you're going to get. And, I've seen the label on him, boom or bust, one of those boom or bust type of guys. And I definitely think that's a fair comparison. Now, that said, like you said, I'm glad you mentioned the quarterback hurries because that kind of ties back to my earlier point. That's not something that's going to show up in the box score the same as a tackle or a sack, but it impacts the play, whether the quarterback goes into another guy who gets a sack, forces a bad incompletion. I mean, look at the national championship game, for example. That wasn't a game where Bryce Young got sacked like 6 or 7 times. They got to him a few times, but for the most part, the main impact was they put so much duress under him constantly that he threw a ton of incomplete passes. I think he was something like 25 or 50 for 51 in that game, something like that. So that's the thing about, don't just look at sacks or tackle for loss or something like that. Obviously, those stats are important, but, you got to have the eye test as well. How is he affecting the play? And I think that's what Trayvon Walker's big strength is.
And that's what a lot of fans and people don't realize. It's more than numbers on a piece of paper, right? It's what he produces in the film room, which is why we're about to do a film breakdown on this guy to show you folks watching and listening that this guy has passed the eye test for both Noah and myself. I mean, I think he could be a quality NFL player, but our proud sponsor, America's #1 favorite sportsbook. You can sign up with our promo code below at JOIN125, get a 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,500. You can bet on the go, anywhere, anytime, get quick, fast live payouts on the games. Again, that is BetUS, where the game begins. Proud sponsor of ours. And now, Noah, we're going to dive into this film breakdown, and this is where it's about to get very, very interesting. I'm very excited to go over this with you. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with it. All right, so we're in the film room now. I feel like I'm a coach again. And this is the first of 3 film breakdowns I'm going to be doing with you, Noah. We're also going to do one on Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean as well as we get into next week. But first, again, Trayvon Walker. I mean, I think this is what makes this player so special. I mean, this is against Clemson. I believe this is the first game of the season where he just rips a new one on DJ, is what I'm going to call him, because he made his debut against my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Uyunglele, something like that, or ukulele.
I just call him DJ, man. I don't even bother, honestly.
So here's the first clip of the game, and you're going to see he's lined up here. He's going up against the left guard, so already it shows you the versatility of this guy. He can line up inside, outside, and you see the left tackle is already worried about him, where he has to make a decision. Do I take Walker or do I take the blitzer, right? And, I mean, we'll watch this play develop here and see what happens. I mean, it's classic Georgia, right? Classic Georgia. I feel like the defensive scheme really is impossible to beat. I mean, they're trying to double team this guy, and they literally have no chance.
Yeah, and they have no chance, and that guy in the edge as well, makes it tough as well. They have to figure out who to focus on, and like you said, Tom, Trayvon Walker, he's not just a stereotypical defensive end. Like you said, he was lined up against the guard there, so he's versatile and dominant defensive performance in that game, and that was definitely a big play right there with that sack.
Now, you talk about him dropping back in coverage, and I know you're going to love this clip because this is against your buddy Garth's Florida Gators.
Look away, Garth.
So this is Anthony Richardson, the freshman, and you see Walker dropping back in coverage. He reads the eyes of the quarterback who telegraphs the pass to his receiver, and watch Walker ball right here, and this shows you he's not just a pass rusher.
Yep, he deflects, and I believe it's Nolan Smith, number 4, that gets the interception in that game, and that was a big turning point in that game, Tom. That was a very close game. I think it was still like a 1-possession game. And like you said, he's dropping back into coverage, which for a defensive end you don't expect a lot. He's able to tip the pass, and it goes right to Nolan Smith for, a key turnover deep in Florida's territory in a close game there.
Talk about those 35.5-inch arms. That's where they come into handy. So here's a sack against Auburn. This is on Bo Nix. Again, he's lined up on – I believe he's lined up on the inside on this play, right above the center in the two-hand stance. I believe you remember this play. This is 4th and long.
Yeah, I mean, it's just no contest. I mean, he's so versatile. You see right there, Tom, he lines up at the center, but what does he do? He's so fast and versatile. He can just, change his stance instantly, go around the right tackle. I mean, how can you defend that? He lines up, one way, and then 3 seconds later, he's in the backfield, from a completely different position. I mean, that's why he's such an explosive talent, Tom, such a raw guy. But that's what he can do. I mean, that's the kind of, explosiveness he has.
I mean, look, this is 3 offensive linemen, not 1, not 2, 3.
Yeah, and he just instantly just disengages, and I mean, it's just no contest. And Walker,
Quay Walker, right, does a good job there.
Yeah, Walker makes it easy, filling up the right tackle, but great job by both Walkers.
Yeah. So this is a play here. He pretty much takes the center back into his own quarterback. I forget who this was against. It might be Missouri, but I'm not positive. But just watch what he does. He's lined up here in a little blitz stance. This looks like a NASCAR package, if I'm being honest. But, I mean, oh, my God. Look at 54 has no chance. And we'll show you it again here from this angle. But, Noah, what the hell went wrong on this play?
I mean, UJ's sending about 5 guys, and unfortunately, the offensive line just has absolutely no chance. A great bull rush by Trayvon Walker as well. That's typically not what I associate with his game here. But, I mean, like you said, he just absolutely wipes out 54. But, I mean, you see the other side of the line. There's 3 guys that are instantly winning their battles, so that helps as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, these – I think they even have a tight end here or a 6th lineman in the game. Oh, nope, that's the right tackle. Yeah, I mean, look, it's just his bull rush move is very impressive, and a lot of people are concerned, well, can his interior game translate to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people said this is why we want to line Trayvon Walker up across the line of scrimmage when he gets to the NFL to kind of like, put him in specialized packages that will work to his benefit, that multiple scheme front we were talking about. All right, next clip. This is against Arkansas. And I believe this is a tackle in open field. I believe this is Walker here.
Mm-hmm.
And he just reads the quarterback's eyes.
Yeah, no, KJ Jefferson just trying to do a little dump off pass there for easy yardage. And like I said, Tom, he's surprisingly good for a defensive end in open space, coverage. Like you said, he's versatile on the line as well. I saw a great description, actually, not to get off topic, Tom, but, I basically saw someone said, he's not elite at anything, but he's kind of good at everything. And I think that's, what you're seeing here on these highlights.
Absolutely. And now, Giants fans, this is going to not look so great. This is against the Florida Gators in 2020, back when Kadarius Toney was still on the roster. Yep. This is a little jet sweep from Trask to Toney, and you could see Walker, who's lined up on the far side here, number 44, off the edge. I mean, he can read trick plays very well, and this play just blows up in Florida's face.
Yeah, you know what the thing is, Tom? I don't know if I miscounted there, but I believe there were 6 offensive linemen on the play as well. And I mean, the play just obviously had absolutely no chance, like a 5-yard loss. But if you look back here, I think I count 6 guys there. So, numerical disadvantage, supposedly for Georgia, but they're still able to win. And I mean, this play just has absolutely no chance, right? But great play by Walker here. Good tackle as well.
Yeah, he finishes very well. That's one thing I noticed about him a lot. And this next clip, this is a nice play against Bo Nix. I believe he forces a fumble here. I mean, this is just absolutely embarrassing for Auburn because they're driving. They're in the red zone, which is something that did not happen against Georgia much this season at all. But Auburn was able to get to this territory. But as you can see, Walker, he's lined up here on this play. And we'll let the play progress.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to notice as we watch it, first of all, I mean, Bo Nix, absolutely terrible quarterback, fumbles the snap and everything. Then Trayvon Walker cleans him out. But if you notice on this play, Tom, he's lining up on the right tackle. We've seen on other plays, he's lined up against the guard, the center, the left tackle. Like you said, I mean, you can basically line him up everywhere and he can do a solid job. But this play was busted from the start. Bo Nix fumbles the exchange with the running back. And, I mean, that's it, basically. Terrible turnover by Auburn there.
Yeah, and just watch the beginning of this play develop and watch what happens. I mean, Walker, the right tackle here for Auburn, in my opinion, this is just a poorly designed play because you have the extra blocker. You have the H-back here. And, he's going out for a pass, and then the right tackle just double teams the interior guy. That's what happens when you got guys like Davis and Wyatt in there. But watch Walker's eyes.
Yeah, he always has his eyes on the football, and he's basically unblocked, Tom, like you said there. I mean, that was actually a decent formation for that play, but I mean, you can't leave that guy unblocked, with how good his nose is for the football.
And these final 2 clips here are against Michigan in the college football playoff properly. So this first clip, you see him here. He is, I mean, this is just a good combination of power and speed getting to Cade McNamara. I know this made your eyes very happy, but just watch this play.
I absolutely loved it. I think this was when me and Garth were actually doing a second half watch long. And UJ obviously absolutely boat raced him in the second half, but just a great effort here by, like I said, it's not just Walker as well, Tom. It's the entire defensive line, but obviously Walker's the guy that, he starts off with the bull rush, then he's able to break away and chase down McNamara. Just a bit of everything on that play.
Absolutely. And then this last play here, this is a tackle for loss on Hassan Haskins, one of the better running backs in college football. I believe he's entering the draft this year as well. And they're in a little like wishbone formation here. And you see Walker, he's lined up here against Michigan's left tackle. And again, this is just very well done by the Bulldogs and Travon Walker.
Yep. Just instantly stuffed by about 5 guys. And like you said, Tom, Michigan has a great offensive line. A great offensive line. Hassan Haskins was great last season. I mean, scored 5 touchdowns against Ohio State, right? But UJ's defensive line absolutely dominated them in this game. And, as we're seeing with some of these plays, Trayvon Walker was a big part of that.
Absolutely. Folks, that was our film breakdown on Trayvon Walker. And Noah, I mean, my final statement on this prospect is I think if the Giants do trade back in the first round from 5 or 7, I think he should definitely be in play. But I'm very confident in the development of Azeez Ojulari and what he brings to the table. So I won't be mad if the Giants don't take him or don't take an edge rusher at all in the first round because there's so many holes on this team. I mean, you got Ojulari, you got Roche, Ellerson Smith, all rookies from last year. The young pups in that edge room, they're strong. They could use another body, but quite frankly, I don't think this is a necessary pick. But, oh my goodness, if the Giants trade back and pick in the teens, I mean, this guy better be getting a phone call. This guy's absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, I'm right here with you, Tom. I wouldn't necessarily take him in 5 or 7, but maybe if you trade back to, say, 13 or 14 or something like that, and he's still on the board. And, I don't have to tell you this, Tom, but the Giants have a fantastic track record for developing defensive linemen. Think about guys like Michael Strahan, Osi Umenyiora, Matthias Kiwanuka. I mean, they've just always had a great job at that. Even Azeez Ojulari, if you want to throw him in there off his rookie season. So, boomer bust prospect, like I said, very raw, but you have to remember he's very young as well. He's only 21, so he has a lot of development still to go. So if you guys trade back, he's still there in the teens. I honestly think he's worth a flyer. I really do.
Absolutely. And Noah, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today, breaking down Trayvon Walker, the draft prospect out of the University of Georgia. Before we let you go, where can the folks find you and your content?
Yeah, so Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern over on the Sportsbox Network, I do my Sweet Tea show with my co-host Garth Michael Patrick, mainly doing college football talk. I'm definitely going to have to talk about West Virginia's new transfer quarterback. I have a lot to say about that. We also do a bit of hockey. We're getting close to playoffs, some motorsports as well. And then Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I do my baseball show, Diamond Cutters, with my co-host Ryan Vigil. But yeah, Tom, this was absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to also break down Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean. Definitely guys I have a lot of praise for as well. But this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for having me on tonight, Tom. Always love, discussing a big-time Georgia prospect.
Of course, you're always welcome on the channel anytime. And folks, without further ado, let's go Big Blue.